In grade school, I remember our teacher once showed us an anti-drug public service announcement that went something like this. This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. I found this pretty funny at the time, but it wasn't until later that I discovered its hidden symbolism. Here the egg represents or is a symbol for your brain, while the pan is a symbol for drugs. The relationship between the two is that drugs could fry your brain. Symbolism is representing things by symbols. A symbol is an object, action, or idea that represents something other than itself, often of a more abstract nature. Symbolism is often used in poetry and novels to make them more meaningful. Some examples of symbols you might already understand include the way black is sometimes used to represent death or evil, or how blue represents calmness and tranquility. A chain can symbolize the coming together of two things, while roses symbolize love and beauty. Symbols can be written in words too. Anything in a book can be a symbol, such as objects, characters, figures, and colors, which can then be used to represent abstract ideas or concepts. This is a little more interesting, because it isn't as obvious as an egg in a frying pan. Not only that, you have to figure out what the symbols represent. It could represent different things depending on how it's used. For example, in the novel Lord of the Flies, Ralph and Piggy discover a conch shell on the beach at the start of the novel, and use it to summon the boys together after the crash separates them. Used in this way, the shell becomes a powerful symbol of civilization and order in the novel. The shell effectively governs the boys' meetings, for the boy who holds the shell holds the right to speak. As the island's civilization erodes, and the boys become savage, the conch shell loses its power and influence on them. Towards the end of the novel, Ralph holds the shell desperately when he talks about his role in murdering Simon. Later, the other boys ignore Ralph and throw stones at him when he tries to blow the conch in Jack's camp. Eventually, all order falls to pieces. The boulder that Roger rolls onto Piggy also crushes the conch shell, signifying the end of the civilized instinct amongst almost all the boys on the island. Other symbols in the Lord of the Flies, such as Piggy's glasses, the signal fire, and the beast, hold strong symbolic significance and bring further meaning to the novel. It is oftentimes difficult finding important symbols, so don't worry if it isn't obvious at first. Finding symbols requires a reader to read between the lines and really understand the context which surrounds it.
A great example of symbolism would be from The Great Gatsby.
In the east is where Daisy lives and represents old money, while on the other hand, the west is where Gatsby lives and he represents new money. In chapter 1, the most significant symbolism was mentioned. Wait for it. The green light. Nick mentions the dream that must have seemed so close that he could hardly fail to grasp it. This quote explains how Gatsby has his hopes for Daisy and in general represents the American dream.
Another symbolism used in The Great Gatsby was the Valley of Ashes mentioned in Chapter 2, which represents the social decay and the poors in the American society. Also, another symbolism used in Great Gatsby was the Eye of the Doctor of T.J. Eichelberg, which were pairs of eyes painted on an advertising billboard at the Valley of Ashes. It represents the mental process by which people invest objects, known as materialistic love. Also, it represents God staring down upon the American society, which was morally corrupted.
The owl in general represents wisdom and an omen of death. Owl Eyes is the most mysterious character in Great Gatsby, who appears temporarily in Chapter 3. He observes Gatsby like Superman with X-ray vision and finds his true nature.
When analyzed in this way, it becomes clear that The Great Gatsby contains many examples of symbolism, all of which bring Fitzgerald's work more richness and color, and makes the meaning of his work more complex. In conclusion, the value that comes with learning about symbols is that it teaches you to see beyond the surface of a thing, person, life situation, or event, and see the abstract relationships at work there. Such as the quote here, expressed by President Lyndon B. Johnson, The guns and the bombs, the rockets and the warships, are all symbols of human failure. Slightly depressing, I know, but observations such as this can shape the way you view things happening around you. So, in the future, know that if you take the time to read between the lines and find meaning in a book's symbols, then you are on your way towards finding hidden meaning in your own life and the world around you.